Hi everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Favour Will Speak. I am your host, Favour John, and I am so happy to be back. I've been away for like a month, but it's because I've been working on my studio. I hope you guys like the new background, and I am gonna try and be more consistent. I'm gonna try it, but I'm just so happy to be back. And today I'm gonna be talking about the journey of becoming and like life. Life is messy. There's ups and there's downs and there's setbacks, there's delays, but then there's also victories, there's also wins, and it's just about navigating that process, about ways in which we get there. And I'm going to talk about this using three analogies, which are the race, the road trip, and the train. But this whole thing stems back to a time when I was in year 11, and I prayed to God to show me a zebra if he was walking by my side. I had exams that I had to complete, GCSEs, the big exams. And I felt a bit alone during this time. So I prayed to him and I was like, if you're by my side, show me a zebra if you're walking with me and I'm not alone. And he did show me a zebra, guys, but in the weirdest way. And it is a very weird thing to ask God to show you a zebra. But I saw this thing online, it was like, ask God for direct signs, ask him for direct signs. So I was going direct, okay, we're gonna go direct. I'm gonna ask you to show me something direct. This way, like, it's so clear whether, it's actually God hearing me and if I'm actually alone or not. Guys, when I came back from school, I was on the bus and I was looking outside the bus for a zebra. I was looking for a zebra outside the bus and I didn't see no zebra. Like, why would I see a zebra for? But then I saw a black and white shop. I was reaching him and I was like, is this a zebra? And he was like, no. My daughter looked forward. Then I saw a zebra crossing and I was like, what? He was like, yeah, my daughter, I am with you from the beginning to the end. So whenever I crossed the zebra crossing, and to my school, I had to always cross the zebra crossing. That's the only way you could get there. And it was like, I knew that God was with me the whole way. And that's how I knew on that destination to the goal I wanted, which was getting those grades, God was with me from the beginning to the end. And to this day, when I see a zebra crossing, that's me and God's little thing, we know, we both know that we're walking with each other, on that zebra crossing, but that's really beautiful. And I wrote about it in my book. There's a poem that I wrote called A Sign, page 24 to 25. So yeah, that's on Amazon. I'll link it down below in the description if you want to see more of the poem about the zebra. But basically, everything that I'm talking about today stems from the destination and God walking with you along that journey. And yeah, so let's just get into it. So yeah, there's three ways of arriving at your destination. These are analogies: the race, the road trip, and the train. They're all analogies, but they're all very significant in different ways. All right, first let's start with the race. The race is a thing where it's like, you see, I used to run track, and every track star knows that towards the end of the race, that's when you feel tired. That's when you feel like giving up. That's when you use your arms a bit more, you push a bit more because you have to get to that finish line. Likewise, that's how life is as well. When you have a goal for yourself, something you want to achieve, in the start it's easy. When you're starting the race, it's easy. Towards the end, that's when it gets hard. And that's how life is as well. And it's just about having that final push, that determination, that momentum, and praying to God, trusting that he'll get you through that finish line. He'll be walking by your side. So yeah, little story time. I'm gonna give you guys a story time. So, when I was in secondary school, whenever we had sports day, they would always put me for 100 meters. That was my go-to. I was really good at 100 meters, always came first place. But there was one time I was racing against the whole of the borough, and they gave me 200 meters to do. Now, 100 meters was my thing. I never said 200 meters was my thing. 200 meters I'm not that good at. I get tired. I can't do long distance. To me, some people might say 200 meters is not long distance, but for me it kind of is. So yeah, I was doing 200 meters for this race against the whole borough. And I was training night and day in the track. I would always be in the track no matter the weather. I remember one day it was raining and my sport teacher, she was so shocked that me and my friends were still in the rain training. We had so much determination, we had so much drive, and we wasn't going to let anything stop us from, beating the rest of the schools on that leg of the race. And I think my school actually did beat everybody. I think we did, guys. I think we did beat everybody, but that's not even the point. The point is, when I was running that 200 meters race, 100 meters, like the first 100 meters, I was good. I was actually good the first 100 meters. When I reached that bend, guys, I was genuinely using all that was left within me to finish that race, and it was literally shocking because I came second. And I'm so bad when it comes to that bend, I can't. But all that kept me going was that push. So it's a thing where in life, when you start something, you're really happy to start something, and you're now exhausted your limits, and you're now in a position that you're being challenged. It's just really important to keep going, keep pushing, and keep trusting God that He'll bring you to that finish line. Even if you come last in the race, at least you cross the finish line. Coming last in the race can be symbolic for, I guess, finishing a goal that you want for yourself, whatever goal you want for yourself, but maybe at a later date. So it's just really important to ensure that you just keep pushing, because you will make it in the end. You know, you'll cross that finish line. And it's just a thing about trusting God. I saw this online, and a person was talking about comparing our lives to a road trip, meaning that the rearview mirror is smaller than the windscreen for a reason, because where we are going is way bigger than what's behind us. You use the rearview mirror to look at what's behind you, whereas you use the windscreen to see what's before you. And you're on a journey. When you're on a journey, obviously it's important to look back at certain times, you know, but don't let that control you, because if you're constantly looking back, you're going to crash. What is so important is where you're going. So in life, if there's a thing where you need to park, because in road trips you might need to park and reassess, because you might get lost. You actually might get lost, guys, because that's where, if you're a driver, you would know that sometimes when you're going to a destination, you need a sat nav because, you know, you don't know the way. But sometimes you can get lost on the sat nav as well. Same way in our lives, we can get lost at times. That's when we need to park, re-navigate, and put the correct destination into the sat nav. You know, think about what's gone wrong, where did we go wrong, what turn did I go wrong at, and then reassess and be like, what can you do better? You know, I think that's really important, just to park sometimes when we get lost. Because we are like cars, we are like a road trip where you can get lost sometimes. You just need to re-navigate and put the correct destination into the sat nav. And that can be making a pro and con list, that can be talking to God, that can be anything really that you need to do to just understand where you've gone wrong and what you can do in order to make sure you keep going on the correct track, you know, because it'll be crazy just to go the wrong direction one time, then park, and then go the wrong direction again, and then keep going the wrong direction. It gets to a point where it's like, it gets draining constantly, just going the wrong direction. It gets to a point where you have to start being in control of your own life, being the parent for yourself, and being like, okay, did this the other time, it went wrong. Okay, what can I do now in order to make sure I don't make the same mistake again? So yeah, that's really important. That's why our lives are also like a road trip, because we might as well park, because we are going to get lost. We're human beings, we are going to get lost. Let's not be too hard on ourselves. We are going to get lost realistically. But it's a thing where it's like, it gets to a point, you need to reassess and see what you've done wrong and what you can do better this time. And similarly, but also like a business. If a business owner's company is not done well 1 month, they will then reassess their company and be like, okay, what did we do wrong and what can we do better to enhance our sales? Same way we should be. What is there something that you are doing that is keeping you, is making you have a setback? Is making you not achieve the victories, the goals that you want for yourself? What is holding you back that you're doing? And what can you do in order to make sure that next month or next week or next year, you'll be in a better position? Me personally, I like to journal, I like to pray to God, and just, that's how I re-navigate, that's how I regulate myself, go on walks and just reconnect with nature, really touching grass, like, yeah. But it does a lot for me. And what is it that you do for yourself? Is there something that you do, or do you want to just, you know, take on what I do? Because what I do, it works. It works to talk to God. God guides. and God heals and God protects. And then going on walks as well, being one with nature, like, bro, that works as well. So, I mean, whatever floats your boat, to be honest. But yeah, it's just important to just re-navigate and just make sure you're going the correct way, to be honest. Now, the last one I'm going to talk to you guys about is the train. It's basically an analogy that our lives are basically a train journey, and that people will come on and come off at different points in our life, similar to when you're on a train. I remember one time I was on a train and I was on the wrong train, but I thought I was on the correct train. And I asked the woman, where does this train go? Does it go to this place? And she was like, no, you're on the wrong train, my love. She was like, you might as well just stay on. I was thinking, what? I'm getting off this train. I'm gonna go to wherever will take me to the correct place. So similarly in life, like if you're on the wrong train, you know, make sure you go on the correct train. With the train analogy, it's basically the ideology that different people will come into your life at different stops, and they'll come on and off. Some people may stay on for a long time, some people may come off at a certain stop, some people may come back on, some people will never come back on. Your life is a journey, and some people will stay on your journey for a long time, and some people will not. Some people will come, some people will go. But with it all, there's beauty in that. And I also found a Bible quote that points to that as well. Ecclesiastes 3:1. And it says that to everything there's a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Which is so true. Certain people, you know, will be in your life for seasons, and there's certain times in your life where, you know, you will achieve a certain thing, or there's a time for everyone. Somebody may achieve something earlier, something later, but with it all, life is seasons, very seasonal. And yeah, so different people may come on different seasons, leave at different seasons, never come back, and that's their season done. But for it all, it's a thing where it's like God will always walk by your side. Like the prayer I prayed to God, and when He told me verbatim that He is walking with me from the beginning to the end, through your journey, God will always walk with you from the beginning to the end. Whether you're taking the race, the road trip, the train, whichever route you're on, God will always walk by your side. I just want to end with one last Bible verse, and that is Jeremiah 29, verse 11. And it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans of peace, a future, and hope." So I hope you can just all just sit back, relax, and just trust God's plan. It's easier said than done, but recently I've been actually doing quite well at it. You know, there's so much beauty in the unknown and just trust in God. I feel like if we knew things a lot of the time, we'll be too scared to take the next step. You know, if we knew the day we were going to die, if we knew the day this was going to happen, certain thing was going to happen, we'd be too scared to take steps of faith. And life is all about steps of faith and just trust in God. There's so much beauty in that. We live each day without having to worry about what's going to happen. And I find that beautiful. I find that so beautiful. So, remember Jeremiah 29:11, and I will see you on the next episode of Favor Will Speak. Bye!